Welcome to the Back Nine Six Pack with Mitch and Justin. Let's roll.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Back Nine Six Pack. My name is Mitch, as always, joined by my highly esteemed colleague Justin. We talk a lot about dealing with demons on this show already, it seems. Buddy, I'm dealing with some demons.
I guess I probably am too. Oh boy. All right, here we go.
It's not even a beer. I'll just get in front of this right now.
God, that is... I'm telling you, I don't know if it was this like six-pack I bought. These things like pack a major punch. I love it.
Yeah, I've gone with the sparkling water tonight. We are in full hydration mode. Bachelor parties at 33 just hit different, man. That's all I can say.
I think we had the complete opposite weekends. You had a bachelor party. I had a wedding in which I had to watch over 3 kids and also officiate. So it wasn't exactly like I was out there cutting up the dance floor, mingling a whole lot.
Yeah.
Those are exact opposite weekends. I had a bunch of kids. You had no kids.
I mean, one could argue I had several kids.
Yeah. Well, big kids.
Yeah, shout out again to Michael. That was an awesome weekend. The house we had was, like, if we ever go to a Lexington golf trip,
that's the one we're staying.
We're staying there. It had a putting and chipping green in the backyard.
That's sick.
The garage was transformed into a game room, so it had darts, ping pong, pop-a-shot, foosball.
Hell yeah.
There's a fire pit, a hot tub, grill. This place was locked.
I saw some snaps. I didn't see any of that in the background, but like when you guys were sending snaps, I kind of saw a little bit of it. It looked pretty nice.
Yeah, it was legit. Also, I'm going to get all the shout-outs out of the way up front here. Shout out to Nick. We played Kearney Hill on Saturday. We did a scramble. I'll just tell you right now, I gave him a new nickname. I called him BMW because he's the ultimate driving machine.
Really?
You've played with Nick a lot. I
don't ever particularly remembering him ever being a great driver of the golf ball, but
I once told him.
Maybe here and there, but not like consistently.
I also told him that his tempo was aspirational. At one point in the round.
A little hungover. Dude. I'm telling you, there is something to playing hungover golf. Your tempo's better. You're just trying not to throw up. You're just trying not to pass out. And you're just up there making buttery swings.
So this is I need to take him to Kearney sober one time because I told you last week he shot 74. It was actually a 73 the last time we were there when he was mega hungover. And he might have challenged par on his own ball on this day. We shot 10 under, basically as a two-man scramble, 7 under on the back, and I mean, it was like automatic off the tee. So,
and Kearney, I've never played there, but from people I know that have played there, it's not like particularly like easy.
So
it's not overly hard, but it's not easy.
We played from one of the forward tees because we were with a lot of non-golfers.
Yeah.
So it was only like 6,100 yards, but like either way. If you're hitting the ball well, you're hitting the ball well.
Yep, exactly.
So, how'd the officiating go?
Oh, I killed it. I think I killed it. My ceremony was only 6 minutes. I think I even remember after the ceremony yelling and screaming the under hit because everybody was pretty much guaranteeing that I was probably going to go over 10 or 15 minutes. It went well. It was a nice mix of some jokes. Told people that my suggestion box was the garbage can if they had any suggestions for my ceremony. Nice. It was a nice mix of jokes and some serious things talking, and people forget we were all there the night they met. So at Trevin's house.
Whoa.
Of the draft, the night that we got a half barrel.
Wow.
The night we got a half barrel PBR, and our buddy Ryan puked on 2 main highways in Cincinnati. That's a feat that I don't think is ever going to be touched. But that's the night that my brother and his fiance met, and that got brought up a lot that night. And I actually forgot. Same thing. I forgot it was that night that they met.
That's wild.
So that got brought up a couple times in my speech because I was the best man too. The best man speech and the ceremony that got brought up a couple times. So
yeah,
crazy.
Fantasy football just bringing lives together.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it.
Oh, but other than that, it was good. Rounding up 3 kids, and I was pretty much emceeing the whole thing too. I kind of was like trying to get the speeches going, and it was good. I'm glad the wife's back in town though. I was pretty worn out when we got the Sunday afternoon. So
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day belated
yes, absolutely.
to all the moms out there.
Yeah, after this weekend, definitely a happy Mother's Day. I don't know I could ever do it without her. So
Okay. Well, on that note, a couple of housekeeping things. One, what's the hats update?
so we've got 4 left.
4 left.
On this order. As soon as we sell out of this order, I'm going to order more. But before we sell, we need to sell out these original, I think 28 or something that I got. So if you want one, and then if we end up selling out, now that we have the print and everything like that, they go a little bit quicker because they just shipped today, so they'll be in here soon. So people that have ordered them, they're on their way. I promise. You're not just Venmoing me money and not getting anything out of it. No, so we got 4 left on this order, and then once we sell out, we'll order more.
All right. So if you want a Patio Beers hat, let Justin know. Let me know. However you need to reach out to us. Also, if you've not seen yet, go check out our Instagram. I think it's pinned there, as well as our Twitter at Back96Pack. Justin's giving away some of his memorial tickets this year.
Yep, for Sunday.
For Sunday.
The day.
Final round.
It's the best day. It's the best day because it's the end of the tournament. Every Sunday I've ever gone to is like there's been some cool stuff happen. Saw the chip-in Tiger had in I think 2010 from behind 16, which was freaking awesome. And then he made like a 12-footer on 18 to win, and it was like the loudest I've ever heard a golf course. But Sunday's awesome. Grab you a summer shandy. Like I said, the best spot I always sit is 12 tee box. You can see 12 and 11. You can get to 18 pretty easily. But seriously, yeah, get in. Go get entered. I mean, they're free. You got to drive yourself up there. I mean, it's not that hard.
Yeah. So all you got to do is subscribe to our podcast, Spotify or Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Rate and review it. Take a screenshot. Send us a DM. You're in the draw for it. We're gonna do that draw next Wednesday.
Yeah, next Wednesday. Yep.
So got just over a week left to get in there. Right now, you'd have pretty good odds. Just a heads up.
Yeah, there's some people in it, but not bad odds for 2 tickets to the Memorial, which is an elevated event this year. They've never had a bad field, but this year everybody's going to be at. You're not going to have guys like, I know Dustin Johnson's not going to be here this year, but like you would have bigger names like here and there kind of take off. Everybody's going to be there this year. So
yeah, for sure. Moving on from that, golf updates wise, Wednesday Night League. I don't even want to talk about this right now.
I don't. When your round starts out before even hitting a ball, and your driver is snapped in half in your bag,
I forgot that happened.
And then the best part is I birdied that hole. Like and then I'm toying around trying to change my 3-wood shaft out for my driver shaft, and the screw's not long enough. So then I had to put my 3-wood back on, set it closed, and then proceeded to just absolutely smother hook my next tee shot into the tall weeds. It was just not off to a good start. It wasn't. It was just
no. The game Wednesday night was a 4-man, 2 best ball net. You were playing with the guys in your group.
Does not happen often.
No. So always a good time. And then it was individual gross and net skins. Well, my team, look, in league night, it's documented. I'm like a 6-7 handicap. Well, I'm an A player,
right?
Yeah. So when you step up there on the first hole and just rope hook one onto the driving range, your B, C, and D player looking at you like, what the hell?
Like, this is our A?
Yeah. So do that. We take 2 doubles on our first hole. All 4 of us doubled our first hole. Go to hole 2, Waffle House ball again, smothered and covered, left into the shit. I make another double. We're like 5 over already. Never really got it back on the rails. We finished 1 over because we did throw in some birdies here and there. DFL though for the night. 13th place.
And I thought I was having a bad week.
Yeah.
Oh, It was just, I don't know. And I didn't even know we were playing with the people in our group. Like, that was our team until the fourth hole.
That's on you, dog. Read the rule sheet.
Like, we get to the fourth hole, and I'm like, and I felt bad at that point, although I did start out birdie, double birdie.
Yeah.
But I get to, like, the fourth hole, and I'm like, what's the format tonight? And they're like, this is our team. And I'm like, oh. Well, in that case, I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm all over the place. I'm fumbling with clubs, and it was a mess. Just an absolute mess.
Well, shout out to Ryan. His team was tied for first at 8 under.
Yeah, he won, but I hit. I got a skin. I got one of the 3 skins, $135.
That's what you like to see. Yeah,
take it,
no doubt.
And I think I was getting a drink at the concession stand or the snack shack, and he goes, and with the only gross skin birdie on 9, I was like, bring me my money. So
always good when you get to send that video to the
I didn't buy a damn drink. I'm like, no. You know how many times I've won a skin and I end up spending more money than I've actually won on the actual skin?
Yeah, you do that almost every.
Not happening this time.
So updates on where everybody stands. So you got 7 points. You're now up to 9 total, which is 12 back of the leader of the league right now.
I'm hanging in there.
You're hanging tough. I got the freaking pity 2 points again. 4 total, 17 back. But I'm still not in last. I think some guys have missed a week already. So
that's tough.
We're not at the bottom. That's my key to victory is just playing every week.
Play every week.
You just got to get the reps in, and eventually you'll pop.
Shoot or shoot.
Shoot or shoot, no doubt. Speaking of shoot or shooting, you shot a lot today. Sorry.
God dang it. Oh, my God. You know what? It doesn't even offend me at this point. I think I've talked to at least 6 people on the phone about what happened today. And the first time it was like, God, it's like, I didn't even feel like I hit the ball that bad. But then I'm like, oh, maybe I kind of did. But I will tell you this. If our first hole was any indication of what was going to come. So we were playing with a kid, great kid, named Cameron Willis.
Timeout. You're playing in the U.S. Open local qualifier at Coldstream Country Club.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes. And we're both in the right rough. He's probably 5 yards behind me, and he's a good player. He's got the course record at Moraine Country Club. So he's not like some hack just like, oh, I'm under 2, I'm going to go play in the U.S. Open qualifier this year. No, that's not him. He hits a pitch shot, or tries to hit a pitch shot on the first hole with a pitching wedge, and the ball went 10 feet. Because the rough was 6 to 6.5 inches wet because we got rain this morning. The morning rounds just got absolutely boned on the weather. He tried to pitch it out, hit it 10 feet. And I was like, that can't be that thick. Oh, did I find out?
Thick with how many C's?
Oh, my God. At least 6. I mean, yeah, probably 6 because it was in the course, it's a tough course. I think most people that have played that course and have played around the city of Cincinnati would tell you that the distance, we played at almost 7,300 yards, the layout, things like that, and then you throw in 6-inch rough. And the fairways on some holes were a little wider, but for the most part, I mean, you got to kind of thread the needle between some bunkers, and then you're worried about being in the rough. And, like, sometimes you're like, well, the fairway bunker might not be as bad as the rough. Like, this is all kind of going through your head, when you're trying to hit tee shots. And we just got off to a rough start. I doubled the first hole, short-sided myself, got behind a tree off the tee, short-sided myself, then 3-putted. Then you don't get a break. The second hole, it's still raining, is a 230-yard downhill par 3, all carry over water. Oh, of course I dunked it in the water. And then I actually hit a pretty good shot out of the drop zone, and then just missed the putt. But then the next hole, hit it in the left bunker on my second shot. This is how thick the rough was. I hit a bunker shot, and I had to kind of like barely get it over the lip. It skimmed the top of the rough and stopped it.
Ooh.
It was almost like hitting a tree and dropping straight down. It hit this wiry grass and just dropped. Took double there. So I started out double, double, double.
Nice.
Get to a par 5. I actually smoked a drive. Finally hit a fairway. And this is when I knew it was not going to be my day. I hit it dead right on my second shot. I was going for it in 2. Because I pounded this drive. I only had like 245. Just absolutely flailing right. Got a good break. I was on the next tee box. Absolutely laid. Ended up making bogey, but at that point I'm like, we're getting better. Started 3 doubles. Then I made a bogey. So we get to the 5th hole. I don't even notice the cameras behind the green. There was news there. I almost holed out. I almost had a hole in one. Like this thing hit, bounced, spun back, rolled back down to like 5 feet, make the putt. I'm walking off, and the guy behind the camera is like, oh, like, what's your name, this and that. Saw his shirt. I'm like, oh, my God, they're going to fucking show this on the news, and then people are going to look up what I shot. I hope it didn't happen. I swear I hope they looked.
I need this to happen.
I hope they looked at the scores and were like, as good of a shot that was, we're not going to show this because this dude shot 86 today. Oh. Like, I hope. And it just kind of spiraled out of control from there. I mean, like, I was barely missing fairways. And I sent you the picture, and we'll probably post it at some point. But I missed a fairway by 3 yards. We could barely find my ball.
Yeah.
And then when I found it, I had a wedge in my hand. I only had 110 yards, and I could only advance the ball about 30 yards. But it played really, really tough in the morning because I looked at the scores. So out of 150 players, so you're talking under 2 handicaps, right? That's what you have to be to play in the U.S. Open qualifier. 150 players, there were only 71 to break 80 of essentially scratch golfers.
Yeah.
70%.
There were some scores out there too.
70% of those happened in the afternoon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Just because it was, by the time I got done, it was sunny out and no wind and no rain, and that just happens though, right?
Got by the draw.
I think the low point of the day though was I hit a drive right, hit the top of the bunker, ends up in the top, like in the grass on the lip. And I get up there and I'm like, oh my God, I'm only going to be able to hit this ball like 10 yards. So I'm kind of looking at it and I'm like, all right, how am I going to like situate my feet just to even hit it somewhere forward? And my back foot gives out, dude, and I just plummet into the sand. And then Scotty, who's my caddy, shout out to Scotty. He was positive all day. There was really nothing to be positive about.
Oh.
He fist pumped like a 30-foot par putt I made on one hole on the front 9. His energy levels were there.
Yeah, Scotty's forever Ferta.
Yes, he brought a good vibe with him today. He turns around and he's like, "What did I miss?" As I'm like, I'm knee deep in sand. My playing partners are. I see them. They're trying to hold it less. I'm like, guys, it's fine. Just go ahead and laugh. Like, so then he finally videotapes. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. Like, I'll shank this ball before I fall back into the sand again. Oh. Like, it was brutal. That was a low point. I did grit it out, though. I told myself 6 holes ago I was going to try to par out. I strung together 4 pars. I think I bogeyed the last 2. But I showed some grit. I did. If there's anything to take out of it, I never gave up. But it was just not good. And I didn't hit the ball well, but I didn't hit it that bad. Like, I didn't nearly hit it as bad as. And people I talk to, they're like, oh my God, when was the last time you shot 86? I'm like, I don't know the last time I've played a course with 6-inch rough that played 7,300 yards and every bit of 7,300 yards.
Yeah.
But I just don't, there's not many courses like that around here. But I'll tell you, like, it was like, as far as a U.S. Open prep, I mean, it was not, obviously, U.S. Open courses are much harder than that. It was like a mini U.S. Open setup, for sure. It was tough, and, you know, like I said, I told you, I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it to Columbus, but I said I'll be a better player after I get done with it, and that's all we're going to take from today.
Yeah, no doubt. So we were tracking along, obviously. So I saw what happened in the first 3 holes, right? So I text the guys. I'm like, oh no, not looking good for the under. Text of the day. Our good buddy Gun. Justin Epier, congratulations. You needed the back 15 six-pack.
I wanted to start drinking at the turn,
Yeah.
but for $6 a Miller Lite, it's gonna be a hard pass for me.
Yeah.
$6 a can Miller Lite, gonna be a hard pass
That's
for me.
tough. Was it not even a tall boy?
No,
Ooh.
it was a 12-ounce can. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna no, thank you.
No.
Like,
Trying
I'll
to
just
gouge you.
but you know what? Me thinking that first drive on 10, making the turn because I just absolutely smothered this thing into tall weeds. It was the worst drive I hit all day. Yeah, so I probably should have gotten it. That was karma swinging back around and be like, well, you don't want to pay $6 a beer, you're going to smother hook one into the other.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
that's my official statement.
there we go. You're on the record now, so.
Oh gosh, yeah, it was brutal.
God, I can't wait to see you show up on Channel 5 News now. Oh, I need it.
I hope they looked up my score. I think they were partly there because Kevin Hall, if no one knows who Kevin Hall is, pretty famous golfer from Cincinnati, first deaf guy to play, deaf player on the PGA Tour. I know him. He was playing directly behind us. I'm assuming that they were just kind of filming things as they come through and then filming him when he came through. But if I end up on the news because they were trying to catch footage of him, I'm going to lose my shit.
Oh.
I mean, it was a great shot. Like, don't get me wrong, but I don't want it on there. I don't want people seeing my name and hearing my name. Like, let's see what this guy shot. He threw a dart in here. And then see it, I shot 86.
Oh, so good. At least you birdied one, though.
I did.
You know, that's good. Anyway, speaking of people that at one point or another needed a back nine six-pack, Jason Day wins the AT&T Byron Nelson.
I think it's our first, what did we say? It's our first award winner to get the award and then win.
Yeah. We got to watch, see if there's a little, the back nine six-pack bump.
I think it might be. It's the start of it. I mean, but I told you he was close. I said, we talked about it during the Masters. I was like, and I know he got the award during the Masters. I was like, he's so close to breaking through again. And I think he's officially back now.
I mean,
he shoots 62 on Sunday.
Yeah, so he drops a Sunday 62, which is the low round of the day, wins by a shot over Siwoo Kim and Austin Eckroat. His first win since the 2018 Wells Fargo Championship, which is just crazy to think about.
5 years ago? Holy crap.
Yeah. And then it was really cool. I watched some of his press conference after the fact, and he was just kind of talking about all the stuff he went through. He had, obviously his own injury problems and stuff.
Vertigo.
His mom got sick and passed away last year. And just like he straight up said, like, I thought I might quit. And he was like, I don't know if I have it. And
it's pretty cool.
Went, dug it out of the dirt, stuck around on the PGA Tour, and he's back in the winner's circle. It's amazing.
And, but when he was playing so well, it's like, it's there.
Oh,
it's just, you know what I mean? Like, everybody knew. But to go through all that, and I remember the vertigo from the Chambers Bay U.S. Open, like, that dude was visibly struggling. Like, he was laying down on the ground.
He went down at one point,
Yeah. It was, so to go from that, what was that? Was that 19 or 8? That was 18, I think, wasn't it?
No, that was 2015.
Or 2015, yeah.
And that was right at the start of, like, his
That was
run.
kind of his downfall.
He won the PGA. Well, no, that was the start of his heater. He won.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
He won the PGA Championship at Whistling Straits.
But then that was kind of, and then after that, really, is kind of when he, he won in 18, so it was like 19, 20, 21 is when he just kind of fell off the face of the earth. That's cool, though, that gritted it out, and now he's back. He's officially back now, for sure. I mean, I know it's going to get the whole, well, it was, some of the bigger names sat out. I don't care. Like, I like we talk about it with Tony Finau. A win's a win. Like, these guys are good out there. Like, it doesn't have to be John Rahm out there. Like, is he the best player in the world? Yes. But these guys are just as good as those, top names on any given day. So.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Jason Day, I'm pretty sure I heard, so his driving stats aren't as good as they were when he was number one player in the world.
Yeah.
But I think his approach play is the best of his career right now.
Yeah.
And he's still putting. He's been a great putter for a long time.
Yeah, he's always been.
So, I mean, keep up the approach play and make some putts. That's obviously a dangerous combination as long as he's still a slightly above average off the tee player. I mean,
Yep.
he
Yeah,
could stick
but
around for a while longer if he stays healthy.
I was happy to see him win. I mean, Austin Eckert. I never know how to pronounce this.
I think it's Eckroat.
Eckroat and Siwoo. I'm like, I'd rather see Jason Day get a win than those two.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ohio win.
No offense, but yeah, it's cool to see J Day back. Other than that, I didn't watch much of this. I know you didn't watch much
I
of
watched
this.
a little, but not a lot. Yeah.
So we're just going to move on to who needed the back nine six pack this week, and this was just. I mean, it was just
Got in off a
us.
WD too.
He was an alternate.
Yes, he was. He got in from a withdrawal, and I don't think there was really anybody else. I mean, there was a couple people. I'm like, his stood out.
I think the way, number one, it was obviously the score itself, but number two, how it went down is a big factor in who gets this award. Richard Johnson, Dick Johnson.
Dick Johnson.
I think he puts the S in there in the middle just to distract from people saying Dick Johnson. Richard Johnson shot even par in round one on the front nine. 36.
All right.
We're fine.
For an alternate? All right.
We're fine. His back nine goes par, double, double, par, double, bogey, par. Tally that up for a 44. We've got an 80.
Doubles?
That's 4 doubles,
Four
sir.
doubles.
The old 36-44.
Know how that goes.
Yeah, we've been there. Short and sweet this week. Richard Johnson, you, sir, needed the back nine six pack.
Congratulations. Hey, I bet he's hoping for the bump, though.
Yeah, you might win in like 4 weeks.
Dick is looking for the bump.
Keep showing up, Big Rich.
Oh, gosh, yeah. That was, I mean, again, I think with the major coming up the next week, we kind of knew that was going to be a down week for not a lot of big names. Heck, Jordan withdrew, and he's an AT&T. They're one of his sponsors. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this week, though.
Yeah, no doubt. We have a major this week. For me, it almost does, I don't know if it's because I had a bunch of other stuff going on or whatever. It still doesn't feel like a major week to me yet.
Not yet, but when we were kind of preparing for this show, reading about Oak Hill and kind of thinking about the last 2 times where they were there, I'm kind of getting in the mood now where I'm like, Oak Hill is just a fantastic course. I think I said this last week. It's probably top 10 major venue in the United States, I would say.
Interesting.
I think Ben Hogan said the first tee shot is the hardest tee shot in America when he was playing out there.
So 2013 PGA was Jason Duffner's win. What was the other? Do you know the other major?
Sean McKeel was the last. That was the previous major to that. They've hosted U.S. Opens and stuff. Jack's won there. Jack is.
Oh, Curtis Strange, I think, won at Oak Hill as well too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack won his 5th major there, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
That would
I think it was his 5th major he won there. I believe it was a U.S. Open. But the last PGA, yes, was Duffner, and then the one before that was Sean McKeel, just absolutely stuffing one on 18 to like 2 inches to win.
So this is why I find this course and this tournament interesting, because you mentioned those 2 names. No offense to those guys. They're major champions. At the time, I'm sure that was kind of like, eh.
You ready? That was Sean McKeel's only PGA win. PGA Tour win.
Duffner had a couple others, but he only has the one major, and it was that one.
Yes.
So actually, that's going to get us right into this question. I want to know, we're going to do a little back and forth, the 3 things we're most interested in watching this week. So for me, I think the biggest thing for me is the course itself.
Yeah, that was the first thing I said, because we talked about it last week. Up until this week, and again, it's a little north, and it's been wet, and it's been a little chilly. I mean, not exactly. Our grass is finally starting to grow here, like pretty well. But Rochester, New York, how well did the grass grow? I know they don't usually grow out the rough too much for the PGA, but like, how much are they really going to be able to do it? Because their grass is probably just now starting to grow.
I saw some video from the course today. It looks like absolutely pristine from what I could tell.
Really? Okay.
It was just a couple clips I saw on Instagram, but The main reason I want to know, or I want to see it, is it was renovated in 2019
It was.
to return it back to the original Donald Ross
Yes,
design.
it was. Yep.
So they opened up the course a lot, removed a ton of trees, which that's what I remembered about the 2013 one was like you were either in the fairway or you were like in the trees.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
Yep.
And if you look at that leaderboard, it was all the guys that were just like it was basically a fairway or driving accuracy contest.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Duffner won. I know Zach Johnson was in it. Jim Furyk, I think, came in second. Hendrik Stenson was up there. Like, it was basically all those kind of players.
Yeah, all the straight hitters, essentially.
Yeah. So I think with these renovations, my hope is that it flips a little and we get more of like an all-around test.
I think, yeah, especially if they remove some trees. Obviously, the biggest myth when people are like, oh, they're removing trees. It's like they're probably just removing trees that are, ruining the course turf, things like that. They're keeping key trees in there, right?
Oh, yeah. They're just widening some of the corridors and I think
and,
creating better sight lines hold a hole.
We've found out as time goes on that if you have 40 big oak trees lining a fairway, it's almost impossible to keep the grass growing. So a lot of courses are starting to do that for turf reasons. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, if they got rid of a lot of trees, you're probably going to assume that that's going to help some of the longer hitters maybe stay in it rather than the last time they were there. So,
yeah. I mean, for me, it's like that's boring golf to see, hey, I have to hit this fairway or I'm going to have to punch out.
You're pitching out like direct, sideways, or you don't really have a shot at the green.
Right. I would rather test these guys, which I guess, a lot of the greens are elevated with kind of runoff areas and stuff off the sides, shaved down a little bit. That's way more interesting golf, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, like they hit a shot that they think's good and it just maybe is a yard too far, runs down. Yeah. Now they have a chip rather than a 5-footer.
Yeah, I mean, that's a better test because you're asking more questions on one hole instead of just, can you hit this fairway?
And then if you don't, you're chipping out, essentially. Yeah.
Now you're getting, okay, are you hitting the right portion of the green? Are you missing where you can miss or are you missing where you can't miss? Like, that's a much better test of golf.
Yep, I agree.
So that was my first thing was the course. Did you have the course as well?
Yep, I said course condition. As far as just like, obviously it's going to be in good shape. They're not going to roll out a major at a goat track, but just with the renovation and some of the weird weather, our summer, our springs seem to be pushed back further.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing to watch too. Is I don't know if there's any rain in the forecast, but if it plays soft, it's almost 7,400 yards. I mean that makes it a completely
that 100% leads it. That kind of leans towards the bigger hitters
for sure.
So yeah, I think that was the first thing I put down, and we talked a little bit about it last week. But my second thing, people pushing for their first major. The last 2 times we've had the PGA here, we've had 2 first-time winners. You got the Finals. You got Ricky playing better. I mean, Ricky's had a pretty good year.
Dude is striping it with his irons right now.
Yeah,
if you're wondering.
Yep. You've got some guys that are kind of pushing for their first major. It seems maybe with the changes, it doesn't necessarily help a first time winner. But last 2 times we've had first time winners. Those guys are might be a good venue for them to get their first win. So that was kind of what I'm looking at.
That's a good call out. I didn't think of that one. My second one, Jordan Spieth. I don't know what to expect. He's apparently in New York right now, but the wrist injury, I don't know if he's hit ball. I haven't seen any updates this afternoon, so there might be something out already about it. But so between the wrist injury and just the fact anytime he shows up to the PGA, he's going for the career Grand Slam.
Yeah, and my thing is, and I don't want to insinuate this is what he was doing, but these guys have certain commitments, right?
Yeah.
And the only ways out of those certain commitments could be like, I'm ailing with this or whatever. It's a little more explainable to your major sponsor to be like, instead of just being like, I don't want to play.
Right.
Like, I'm dealing with a wrist injury. I want to rest it for a week. Again, not saying he did that. He might be really dealing with something. I know he's had some issues in the past, but
I mean, to be candid,
if you knew last week I cannot play this week, and wrist injuries are some of the worst injuries for a golfer to have.
Right.
It's not something you can just get over, right? There's many guys that have had wrist injuries in their careers, essentially, over pain or just never healing properly. I would find it hard to believe if he was in New York. Like if he has to know by now that he's not, whether he is or he isn't going to play.
Yeah, I mean,
and again, not insinuating that he didn't want to play in the AT&T, and it might be the case, and he was just like, well, I just want out of it. But
yeah, I mean,
it could also be
I guess, is withdrawing from the Byron Nelson, like they're not going to be the title sponsor.
Yeah, they're
anymore.
not.
So,
yeah,
I mean, maybe there was a little bit of that in it.
Yeah.
You know? But it freaks me out just because I know the wrist was a problem just a couple years ago here.
Yep.
So I just want to. We're monitoring the situation.
Yeah, and I love we both love our Spieth.
Right. So my third thing, and I hate doing this. I don't want to do this again. This happens all the time. Rory. Every time he shows up to a major now, it's like. It just feels
none of the hype.
Well, it just feels less likely that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I know. I did.
After it didn't happen last
I don't know
year,
what his odds are, and I'm going to look him up right now. But I don't think he's one of the top 3 favorites.
He is.
Is he?
I think he was still just behind Scheffler and Rahm when I last looked, but you can double check that.
Yeah, so he's third highest. Yep, he's at plus 1,400. You have Scheffler and Rahm that are plus 700, plus 750.
Gotcha. Yeah, it hasn't happened since 2014. Recently kind of started, he's started bucking his head in some of these, where before he was kind of not uncompetitive, but like he was there at Torrey when Rahm won the U.S. Open.
Yeah, won the FedEx last year.
Well, obviously last year at St. Andrews, like that was probably his tournament to win, and
Cam Smith just outplayed him.
Didn't close the door then.
Yep.
I want nothing more than Rory to win the Grand Slam and to stack up a few more, just because I think that's where he belongs in the history of the game.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
And especially because I have so much respect for him, just what he seems to be as an individual and a person too. Like I just want him to have that success, and it's like every time we get to one of these, and it's just, I mean, the Masters was truly like the most epic major disappointment probably of his career outside of 2011 when he didn't win the Masters.
Yes.
Like he came in rolling, ready to go, things were firing, and it was like a complete no-show.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he did no-show. I mean, he might as well no-show.
And then he pulled himself out from the RBC Heritage, showed up at Wells Fargo, which is a place that he has beat up over his career, and just kind of whatever.
Yep.
Like a T47 or something.
Yeah, not great.
And now
that we're talking crap about him, he's probably going to play well this week.
Yeah, I hope so.
I do too. So. I'd hope he plays the game. And I always used to say this when some people didn't like Tiger when he was kind of rolling. It's like whether you like them or not, the game's just better when they're up there, and that's kind of how he is. Like when he's up there, it's more fun to watch. When Rahm's up there, it's more fun to watch. Like, no offense to the last time it was at Oak Hill, it's like Sean McKeel probably doesn't do it for a lot of people, right? Like, right. You know what I mean? So, and no offense to some of these other guys that are playing it, it's like it just doesn't, it doesn't move the meter. When Rory's up there, it moves the meter, right? And I hope for everybody's sake, and especially the viewing purposes this weekend, that he kind of finds a way to, scratch it together, and maybe if he doesn't win, at least be, in one of the final groups on Sunday.
Right. Okay, so just because I'm curious, and I'm going to name some names here that have won a major championship more recently than Rory McIlroy.
Oh, God.
Zach Johnson.
Holy crap.
Jimmy Walker.
Oh my God, Zach did win the Open Championship.
In 2015.
He did. And then Jimmy Walker was the PGA in
2016.
Okay.
Earlier that year, Danny Willett at the Masters. Francesco Molinari. Gary Woodland.
Wow.
Tiger Woods. Phil Mickelson.
That's incredible.
Just when you sit back and think about that.
He hasn't won a major since those guys have won majors more recently. That is, and again, I know we get one-offs, right? We do. We get it every year. There's going to be a major where we're going to get a one-off.
Sure.
Right? It's going to happen. Whether it's this one this week or, it's the Open Championship in July or whatever, or, U.S. Open in June. We're going to get a one-off. Usually not the U.S. Open just because it's so hard that it kind of lends its hand to the better players. But we're going to get a one-off at some point. But even just thinking about that, it's like, that is incredible. Like, Danny Will and Jimmy Walker were the ones like, okay, Phil, he is older, but he's still a legendary player, right? Tiger, legendary player, but he came off of, injuries and all this stuff. But the Jimmy Walker, and I just can't get over the Jimmy Walker and the Danny Willett, like that, and Zach Johnson. You see what they think of Jack? I mean, he's going to be a captain of a Ryder Cup team. Like, that's unbelievable. But for him to have a major more recently is that blows my mind.
I know obviously Phil's a legend, but think about that. Like what was he, 52-year-old Phil Mickelson has won a major more recently than Rory freaking McIlroy.
And he's in his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, now's his prime. I mean, he's still in his prime, and he doesn't have a major more recently than Phil.
Yeah, and it's the last few years really the majors have seemed to separate in a way where it's like the best of the best are winning them. There haven't been that many within like the last 3 years, I should say. It's been like the heavy hitters of the game winning them.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just love to see Rory add his name to that list.
I hope. Again, it's a better viewing experience. So let's hope he scratches it together. He doesn't have to be in the final group on Sunday. If he's just there threatening, it's more fun when he's up there.
Right.
So.
All right, what was your number 3?
So I guess kind of leads into this. Like, I just feel like a lot of the top players are limping in, right? Jordan Spieth, is he injured? JT won this thing last year. He's the defending champion. He seems just lost. Just absolutely lost on a golf course right now.
I think it's mainly the putting, but yeah, it's...
Yeah, and Scotty was up near the lead going into, in Saturday this week, and, out pops Jason Day with a win, and Scotty kind of dropped back. He didn't play well at all. Saturday's scores were really low this past week, and I think he shot 71. It's like, man, when you think of a guy like that that's in the lead, going into Saturday with a weaker field, you're like, he's just going to slam the door and take his $1.7 million and go to New York.
Yeah.
And he dropped back to like 11th.
I'm fine with it. Don't waste your energy, Scotty. On the podcast.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's just, that to me is kind of limping in. Like, you have an opportunity to slam the door shut in an event with not a lot of great players, and you fell back 10 spots.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about that is that kind of golf is such a different animal, obviously, than what they're about to play at a major championship venue.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it is. I 100% understand.
I know you know that. I'm just saying.
But, and I mean, the one player this year that's like one of the top names, it just feels like, I mean, Rahm's obviously just on an absolute blistering heater. Mm-hmm. But the rest of the guys are just like, when is JT going to show up? When is Scotty? I know he's got a major in this, but it's like he just seems like he's disappeared in some of the bigger tournaments this year.
He has 2 wins this year.
I know he does. I get that,
including the Players.
I get it. He won the Players, but I'm like, I don't know.
I will say, Scott, the short putting is very scary.
It's not great. And when he was playing really, really well last year, his putting was. There was not a better putter on the entire planet than he was. And it's iffy right now, for sure. Like, especially, like you said, the shorter putting is definitely iffy. But
I'm with you. I hear what you're saying, because, like, I'm scrolling at the odds board right now, and I'm just like...
Like, where is Xander Schauffele at? Like, I know...
It's a bunch of guys that have, like, played either, like, okay, or... Like you said, you're waiting for them to show up.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
Colin Morikawa. Like, where's Colin at? Like, he's not.
Oh, God. Colin, I think he just, like, died when he did all that chip nonsense in Hawaii at the Tournament of Champions. What was it? I don't even know what it is. He had, like, It was a massive lead that he blew like on the back nine there.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 4 shots, 5 shots, something
5
like
shots,
that.
something like that. Yeah,
But like those are like Xander and him are like we were sold that they were the future of golf. What? Not even 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and they just, where are they at? Right? Like show up. Like let's see you show up in a major. I'm hoping some of these renovations kind of lead to that, like where it's guys like you get Colin up there, you get Rory up there. Obviously, one of the big names is probably not going to show up. It usually happens every year at every major. But, man, it's like some of these guys, and I bet Colin and Xander are probably pretty high on the odds board. Let's see. I mean Xander's the he's the 4th favorite.
He's played really well of late.
He has, but it's like, to me, for a player of his caliber, it's like you should be winning more.
No, I don't disagree with you. Yeah, it just feels like that second tier players. Like I'm just looking at all of them, and it's like, ugh.
Yeah. Let's say, so second tier. So really after Rory, right? And even then, we've got questions about him, right?
Even if you put Xander, you could put Xander and Cantlay up with them or behind them. I don't care either way.
Yeah, but it's like then it's like those second level players. It's like Xander, Cantlay. Finau's actually been playing pretty good this year. Koepka, it's hard to tell how well he's been. I mean, he played well at the Masters. We'll give him that. JT, Victor Hovland. I mean, just like, Dustin Johnson, don't know when he's going to get out of that. Colin Morikawa is way down there. Yeah, that shows you how much Vegas loves him. And then it's just, like really after like the first 3 guys are like, ugh, like they may show up, but they haven't been showing up. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I don't know. That was kind of what I was looking at. I was looking at the odds board and thinking that same thing. It was just like after the first 2 or 3 guys, you're like, I mean, I would bet a couple of them might miss the cut. Like, you know what I mean? So
I mean, I don't know what the news on him is, but good God, Jordan Spieth at 45-1 right now. I could waste some money on that.
I mean, I'm going to. I mean, we do. I think me and you do it every week. It's like it's eventually going to be that week when he wins. Like, keep throwing money at it.
First round leader is only 40-1. If it was higher, I might get in on that. But I don't know. Just looking at the odds, we're like, there's like nothing here that really. I think JT interests me.
Only because he seems to just play well at the PGA.
I just like,
and even though it's on a different course every year, he seems to kind of.
He's at 28-1 right now. That seems like a completely fair odd. Anytime that JT is like floating with that 30 number, it feels like you need to bet it.
100%.
And in a tournament where I'm going to guess that I don't know what the conditions are going to be like, but it feels like it's probably going to be like that around 8 to 12 under.
Yeah.
He's way more live at an event like that with his short game
100%.
And scrambling. Like when he doesn't have to go make 25 birdies or whatever.
Especially the way he's been putting this year. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I trust him to make a ton of pars on it. I think it's a par 70, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, like him on par 4s I trust a lot. Outside of that, none of these numbers are like Morikawa, like I don't trust the short game. Like if he's not just, flagging every green, I don't know that I trust the short game enough to with like tightly mown areas.
Especially Donald Ross course.
Exactly.
It's like the Donald Ross courses are all a premium on being able to chip and putt well. And he just does, unless he's flagging everything, he just doesn't do either one of those things very well. I'll tell you what.
Good God, dude. Looking down this board, like, I think this is a tournament
Ricky Fowler plus 550 to top 10. That, to me, I feel like he's been playing better than that. I mean, you can get him to win at plus 6,500, but, like, just a top 10 for 550? Like, that.
Yeah, I'm just kind of scrolling. It feels like a tournament where I might just put a couple bucks on a lot of these guys that are in this range. Like, Tommy Fleetwood at 60-1 playing some good golf. That kind of scoring feels like a place for him.
Yep.
Especially if it's like an emphasis again on, driving accuracy and
and don't leave out, and I know he's on Live, but Taylor Gooch.
Yeah, 75-1 is a big number for him for
someone that like literally lit up courses like that's. I mean, look, We get it. It's 40-man field.
Yeah, it's hard to compare it. I know
it is hard to compare, but I don't care. Dude goes minus 24 and then minus 23 in back-to-back weeks. I don't care what course you're playing. Like, the guy's playing good golf, and that seems like a pretty large number for a guy that's won a couple tournaments. And again, discounted, but he's won a couple tournaments, and he's playing really well.
I would absolutely hate if what I'm about to say happened. But if this thing kind of turned into like a short game contest, Patrick Reed is 100-1.
Oh my God.
Like,
I hate it. I wouldn't feel good about winning that money.
A long course in the Northeast. Like, I'm pretty sure Reed won it Bethpage in the playoffs one year.
Yeah, he
like,
did.
If everyone's missing green, these are. I'm pretty sure I heard these greens are like 4,500 square feet on average. They're small.
They're not big.
If it just turns into a chipping contest,
God, I would hate that so much.
So would I, but
I would hate myself.
My bank account would love it.
I would hate myself for betting that and winning.
Plus 750 for a top 10.
God. You're going to talk me into it, and I'm going to hate myself all weekend. Especially if he's up there, too.
I need to do...
Because he didn't play well. He didn't play bad at the Masters, but he plays that course well, too. So
yeah, so that's... I did have an honorable mention in my top 3 stories. I'm curious to see, we talked about it with the Masters, like how the LIV guys end up performing at a non-Augusta major venue.
It's going to be interesting.
None of these guys have course history at these places, when they're going from playing whatever these courses are they're playing out there. Many of them not tour quality stuff. What happens if they show up to these places where they've never seen them. So
yeah, I that is, and this is the first year where it's like you've got all these major names on LIV, and now they're starting to play in majors. Like last year, about this time, they really hadn't started. They didn't even have their first event yet.
Right.
So this is the first year. It's going to be interesting to see because everybody, those guys that are the major names on LIV, they know Augusta. They've been out there. I mean, Dustin's won there. Patrick Reed's won there. They probably play there a handful of times during the year. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see them go from, like I heard Adelaide was not the most difficult of courses in terms of what they play on some of the PGA Tour events. So we'll see when you get on like a legit major venue like Oak Hill is, see how they do. I think you're still going to have a couple guys that play well, but for the most part, and I don't think there's many of them in it, to be honest. I mean, you got Brooks, you got Patrick Reed, you got Dustin.
DJ just won, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he just won.
I saw
this
Cam
week.
Smith had like a 62 or something in that tournament.
So you got those guys in it, but and here's the thing, and I think I said this in Augusta. I'm like, they're still some of the best players in the world, whether they're playing good competition week in and week out. So is it really that big of a surprise if DJ top fives? Not really. To me.
If he's on his game, I think he's still a top 5 player.
Is it going to be that big of a surprise if Cam Smith, who was on an absolute heater last year, top 5 or wins? To me, no.
No.
It's like, so, but it's going to be interesting to see. They definitely play somewhat easier venues on that tour just because they are trying to find a schedule and courses that will take an event. So, it'll be interesting.
All right. We're not going to make a legitimate prediction here. Well, maybe we will. I don't know. What headline are we reading Monday morning after this PGA Championship?
Finau finishes in a major way.
Oh my God! Ooh,
he's gonna do. This is it. This is it. I'm gonna bet him pretty heavy this week. I think this is it. This is it. This seems like a great venue for him. His approach, shots gained, is like off the freaking charts. And we talked about how they're smaller greens. And he won in Detroit, which was a Donald Ross. I know they're slightly different courses, but
did he win the 3M too? Because I think that might be.
I don't know if the 3M. Detroit Country Club it's Donald Ross, and it's got small greens, and I'm telling you, I think this is it. And then no one can discount his wins anymore if he gets a major.
Yeah, I know he didn't have, obviously the strength of field in Mexico wasn't that great, but it probably went a long way for him that, he held off John Rahm in that tournament. Like, in the last group with him,
like
stared
mentally.
him down.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing for him and his confidence probably going forward.
Yep, but that's my headline. Like I said, I'm going to bet him pretty heavy this week. So
I love that. I'll probably join you too. My headline is we're halfway there, and that would be in reference to John Rahm winning the Grand Slam this year. I'm
not going to say I wouldn't be a big fan of that. Like to get 2 in a row.
I'm telling you, I said it after the Masters. Every time that Rahm wins, like I feel like we just get to see more and more of him in like a different light, and I am here for that. I love him more every time that I hear him speak.
I'm telling you, when he shows up to a tournament and obviously they want to win every time, but like when it's a big tournament and he wants to win it just seems like everybody's kind of playing for second sometimes.
I mean, it was different at the Masters. Like when he's dominant and he's doing it, like he goes and hides a lot. The Masters, he was like pretty much trailing Brooks for a lot of that, and it was spread out weird over a bunch of days. And for him to like keep his composure when that's been a thing for him, and to go hunt Brooks down and then just really close the door on that tournament, he's on a different level and obviously has the complete. Like he's probably got the most complete game right now in the world. Like
and I don't even think, again, like I said, he shows up to a tournament, a major tournament, doesn't have to be a major. Like if he kind of feels like until he shows something differently that everybody's kind of playing for second.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I'm picking the freaking favorite here, like by saying this. I'm not going out on any limbs, but he does this. The conversation turns to, can he win this Grand Slam? Also, he's only a Open Championship away from winning the career Grand Slam at the same time. Could just knock out both in 1 year.
That would be incredible.
I mean, truly an all-time season would immediately vault him.
I mean, he's already just absolutely annihilated the winnings in a year record. I mean, and we're not even. We're in May.
Yeah,
we still have 3 more months of golf, 3.5 more months of golf left. So, and 3 more majors. So. Yeah, I'm not going to say I wouldn't like to see that. That would be, if Finau doesn't win, I wouldn't mind seeing a Rahm victory.
This is not gambling advice, but there you go. There's our 2 favorites.
Lay the hammer on Finau.
Love it. Okay. On to the best segment of the show.
Love it. Every week. My favorite.
This is Patio Beers, where we ask each other an unscreened question. Got to answer it. Those are the rules of the patio. I never know who's going first.
I think I went first last week. So okay. You went first last week. So I'll go first this week.
Okay.
All right. So I saw this video on Instagram.
Oh God.
And shout out to Danielle,
was
my
it
wife.
Of my swing?
No,
we need to erase that from the internet.
The plane wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
I know, yeah.
She sent me this video. She goes, she says she doesn't listen. But she goes, this is the next Patio Beers question. I'm like, oh, but you don't listen. Weird how that happens. So I saw this video and this guy asked it. And I started thinking about how I would answer it. And I'm like, holy crap, I think I might be weird. But we'll find out what you are.
Oh, no.
In what order do you get dressed out of the shower? Like, what article of clothing do you put on first?
Oh, God, this is such a good question. I love this.
It's just like the pooping, standing up, or sitting down question that we have. We'll get into that, but
it's underwear.
Oh, so you're just plain Jane?
Yeah, straight into underwear.
Really? Okay. Well, so the video I saw, this guy puts his socks on first, which to me is weird.
That is an absolute. That's not a human being. That is a savage.
I watched the video. I was like, okay. I think at least mine makes a little more sense. Just because, like, I like when I lay my clothes out, it's just like usually what's on top. But I put my shirt on first.
I mean, I get that too. I think if I wasn't going underwear, the shirt would be the next logical thing, in my opinion.
But I put my shirt on first, and when I started thinking about it, like, that might be kind of weird for most people. Like that's normal to me. That's normal.
Cool.
Like I don't do that, but that's normal. But I put my shirt on a lot first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The shirt, it's kind of weird too because I don't know. I'm not good at drying my back off apparently. So you get like the dots of water, and if you put the shirt on too quick, you gotta let it air dry a little first.
That's true. Sometimes I do it to get rid of the wrinkles though.
Okay.
If I have a wrinkly shirt, I'm like, this water is gonna like get all the wrinkles out.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely underwear for me.
Okay, that's pretty normal. But the socks thing, I was like, dude, that's insane. Like, who just goes out of the shower, socks on? But I do know a couple people that they're like, well, if I'm walking around, and not that their house is dirty, but if they have hardwood floors, and hardwood floors just generally get dirty, dust and stuff, they don't want their clean feet to get dust on them.
I can't. There's no way I could even like that quickly put socks on because my feet would still be like a little damp or whatever.
Yeah, but that was where I was gonna go next. What
if you step in water in the bathroom, from getting out of the shower?
Yeah, I feel like your feet are like the last thing you dry off.
For sure.
So the whole socks thing was crazy to me. But when I started thinking, I was like, shirt's kind of weird too. But
this is a bonus question off of this because you brought up socks. Okay. You put both socks on and then your shoes, or do you go sock, shoe, sock, shoe?
Both socks, then shoes.
Correct. That's the right answer. I just want to make sure you weren't.
Now, bonus question to that: do you wipe standing up or sitting down?
This is
when was this? This is around Christmas, right? That we were talking about that.
Yeah, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
But there is we're not going to throw anybody under the bus. There's an enormous amount of people that stand up when they wipe, and that is disturbing to me.
It is disturbing.
It's absolutely disturbing.
At max, it's a lean, right? Like you gotta.
And it depends on the situation. Are you in a porta potty? Are you in the woods? Like, because then that makes 100 more sense, right?
Godspeed if you're in the woods. I mean, at that point.
But I'm like, if you're at home, like, what, you don't trust that you clean the toilet well enough, and you're like, oh, I don't want to sit on this longer than I have to. Like, there's an enormous. I just want everybody to know this that listens. There is an ask somebody. There is a disturbing amount of people that stand up when they wipe, and it almost makes me want to go back to like preschool and teach the whole next generation that you do not stand up when you wipe. Oh. It's disturbing. We found that out firsthand. It was disturbing how many people stand up when they wipe.
I think we can just. Yeah, we'll leave that.
I'm still frustrated about it. I can't believe it.
Do your own research, people.
Yeah, ask your friends. I'm telling you, there's going to be more than you think.
Okay, so my question also has to do with weirdness. Again, so this was a source from my wife, actually. So the wives, just really putting in work on the pod for us here.
At least yours listens. Mine says she doesn't, quote unquote, doesn't listen, but she knows what this segment is.
Oh, she loves it. So my sister-in-law and wife were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and I've been racking my brain what my answer would be, and it took me a while to think about it. And I still don't know if this is like the right answer, but it's the one that keeps coming back to my mind. What's something that was normal for you growing up that you later found out or learned was actually weird? If you need time, I can tell you what mine is.
You go first. I'm trying to think because there's a couple things that I've kind of come to my head, but go ahead.
So, as a kid and growing up, we, like, for every dinner, we drank milk. And
that seems kind of normal.
I think it might be normal for, like, Midwest, but I don't think worldwide this is a normal thing.
No.
And not that it was bad or anything, but, like, the more that I, like, get away from childhood and I'm, like, talk to other people or whatever, and also think about like, okay, like I was eating like a burger and fries and drinking like a glass of 2%.
It's like, God, you feel like a rock in your stomach.
Yeah, like something about my bones.
You guys have plumbing issues at your house?
I don't know. My bones and teeth and stuff are probably all thankful for.
Oh yeah.
But from the calcium, but like I just thinking about it, the farther away I get from it, I'm like, man, that might have been kind of weird.
But it's funny. Like we didn't do that at my house, but when I would go to people's houses, that was very normal. Hell, we have a friend, they used to drink skim milk.
It was probably because of the Got Milk campaign or whatever when we were kids.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess I could see that, like, now that we have families and stuff, like, I have, like, one kid that drinks a lot of milk, but the rest of them really don't. Yeah. They don't go like, oh, I want a glass of milk at all.
Right. Yeah.
And typically it's never with dinner. It's usually like breakfast.
Yeah, it's like a breakfast drink. That's why.
I'm still trying to think of something weird. Yeah, okay. Dinner. We ate an enormous amount of Hamburger Helper. Like we had Hamburger Helper a lot.
Come on, Grant. I know you're listening.
Like, and the reason I say that, and I don't know if it's weird, but I don't think I've ever made it in the time that I've had kids.
Yeah, I can guarantee you we have not.
It's not bad. I like it. Like, I always ate it.
It's basically like
made it,
like the sloppy Joe stuff, basically.
Yeah, it's like got noodles in it and hamburger and
so it's not
cheese.
like sloppy Joe stuff. It's
No, dude, it's got noodles in it.
Oh,
They're all a little different, but you got noodles, burgers. Sometimes they're like cheese. Sometimes they got some marinara in it.
yeah.
It's kind of a hodgepodge of. There's different flavors,
Okay.
but we ate that a lot. Like not like 4 times a week, but like we ate it. I mean, I would say at least once a week.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, like, since I've been an adult with a family and stuff, I don't think I've ever made it, ever. And it's never even crossed my mind of like, oh, I love this stuff. Like, I'm gonna go buy it at the store.
I don't even know what aisle you'd find that in at the store.
I'm gonna guess in the noodle section because there are noodles. There's noodles in every hamburger helper.
Maybe like the soup aisle or something. I don't know. Does it come in cans or packets? I don't even know.
No, it comes in a box.
A box?
You don't know this?
No, is this even meat? What the hell is this?
No, you gotta add meat. You gotta add your own meat.
Oh, okay. So
you get it in a box.
Whatever.
It's usually got noodles and then some kind of mixture, like whether it's marinara, but it's all powdered. And then you get the noodles soft, and then you put the meat in, and then you put the packet in, whatever the flavor is.
Got it. That makes sense why it's called Hamburger Helper now, you know? Context clues are big.
Yeah, you got to add your own meat. The meat does not come in the package, but it's in the box. And that's why I'm pretty sure it's probably near the mac and cheese.
That makes sense, yeah.
But I think
like
that's
section.
Probably the one thing we ate a lot of Hamburger Helper.
Yeah.
Like just from thinking back on it. And I think a lot of weird things revolve around food for families.
That's what I'm thinking too, because it makes sense too, because like, you know, family recipes and you grow up eating a certain way and that gets passed, you know, that kind of stuff.
Like I knew someone that said that they used to have sparkling wine, like grape juice, sparkling grape juice at dinner, like every night.
That's interesting. It's provocative.
Like, what are we, like fancy or something?
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, I'm not spending $3 a bottle on some sparkling grape juice for my kids.
Isn't that a moment in your life too when you go to like a nice restaurant and they're like, "Oh, do you want sparkling or still water?" And you're like, "Oh, I didn't know I had an option."
Yeah,
Tap water is fine.
I've grown to like sparkling water.
So have I. Yeah.
I really like it. But yeah, the first time I went to a nice restaurant, I'm like, "The fuck is sparkling water?" Like, what is there like glitter in it or something? Like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Like, what is? Oh, Ted Lasso says something. He was because they call it flat water. Like you have flat water, and then
I don't remember what
they call. I think they just call it like tap water or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, like I thought I thought all water came flat, or something like that." I was like, I thought the same thing at one point. I was like, I didn't even know there was carbonated water. Oh gosh, I could go on for days about sparkling water, but it's good. I love it. Yeah. Little Pellegrino.
Dude, shout out Liquid Death. I'm a Liquid Death guy for
sure.
I
like it too. Yeah, that's what you're drinking right now. I'm trying to nurse
that thing's
the hangover.
Gone. I need to reload.
Oh God.
All right, well that's it for Patio Beers. Maybe we can think on that one a little more too. Maybe we can come up with.
I feel like I can come up with another one.
I even tried to crowdsource my siblings, and they couldn't get back to me. So I got to think about it more.
I feel like it's all most weird things are food related, though, for sure.
Yeah, or it's got to be like some weird tradition or something.
I don't know. I've got some really weird, like me and my brothers, like when we do like family pictures. Yeah. Ryan makes fun of them all the time. He was making fun of them this weekend at the wedding. Like, we got our head tilted, and, like, I got my arm on his shoulder, like the Step Brothers.
Like the Step Brothers pose, yeah.
We have a lot of those in my house, too, so maybe that's one of them, too.
That's great.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Well, it's a major week. Everybody enjoy the PGA Championship. We're going to get out of here. Just a reminder, go check out the Memorial Tickets giveaway. Leave us a review, subscribe, send us it. We're drawing next week. And then also hats. We got a few left. So
yeah, let's get it. They'll be here this week. So if you've ordered one, probably Wednesday or Thursday, they should be in.
Oh, my God. If you show up to league night with a hat for me.
I got the notification. They shipped today.
I'm going to shoot even par.
Now, I don't know where Imperial is at, the hat company, but I hope they're close because it's coming ground.
Yeah.
So save everybody a little money. It's coming ground.
Come on. Just get here Wednesday.
Yep.
We've kind of buried the lead, too. We get little tease here. May or may not have our first guest coming on the pod.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that's in the professional world, they call that a broadcasting world, they call that a tease. We're not going to give anything else away.
No name, but I'm very excited. I think it's going to give a pretty unique perspective into things that we kind of all think about as golf fans.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. And some extra because he's also a good player himself. So,
yeah. So we'll that'll either drop tomorrow depending on what we talk about, or we might just tack it on to next week's podcast. So just stay tuned. It'll be out there. We'll let you know when it's live. So other than that,
I think that's it.
Cheers.
See ya. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Back 9 Six-Pack. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Back 9 Six-Pack for all your content needs. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.